Hey everyone, welcome back to today's video. So today I have a super exciting video. We are going to be doing a review of this book, Shield of Sparrows by Davini Perry. Wow. So let me start by saying I am going to include different scenes from the book, and I'm going to talk about different things. So if you haven't read this yet, then you may want to click off because I don't want to give away any spoilers or anything like that. But I am going to be giving my thoughts on this book and just going over the overall story. So I just finished, like I said, it was about 650 pages on the Kindle. I started it a while back, and then I kind of fell off of reading for a minute, and then I came back to it, and I finished it recently. Okay, so real quick, I looked it up on my phone. I want to give you an overall summary of this book, and then we'll get into different thoughts I have, and I want to talk about the writing style and the different tropes in this book and all of that. So, Princess Odessa, she's the main female character, is sent to a foreign land to marry a prince as a part of an ancient treaty. She travels with a legendary monster who despises her, and together they must navigate a cursed realm filled with monsters and political intrigue. Odessa must uncover the secrets of her new kingdom and her own path while trying to survive the treacherous journey. The reason why she must uncover secrets of her new kingdom is because her dad wants her to be a spy and report back to him. And so it's a very good, engaging book. One thing I will say is, in the beginning, I think this goes for a lot of fantasy books. It took a little bit of time to kind of build the world and kind of give you an idea of what their world was about. I know there's 5 different kingdoms that they were referencing, but the main ones, let me try and pull it up. I know it gives you a map, and I want to pull that up so I can make sure I know what I'm talking about. Give me one moment. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, so there's 5 different ones. So she starts in Quintus. I'm sorry if I'm saying that wrong. But that's where her homeland is, her kingdom. And then she was picked to marry a prince and go into the kingdom of Turah, Turah. And so, at the time, her sister was the one who was supposed to be picked to marry the prince and then go to Turah, but she was the one who ended up getting picked. And so, she was very upset. She didn't understand why. But her father sent her to be a spy and find out more about that kingdom. And so, she goes, and she is married to Xavier. And then the guardian is the one who guards her and watches over her. Well, they have a lot of different spats, and they don't get along. She hates him, all this stuff. And as the story progresses, you kind of notice that although she does have hatred towards him, she actually secretly thinks he's very handsome. She really likes him a lot. She starts to develop these feelings for him, etc., etc. But she's married to Xavier, and he is the prince. And so then, as the story develops, she goes to hold on. Let me see. Elder. She goes to Elder, and that's their main area, if you will. And meanwhile, keep in mind, they have this migration that they're all waiting for. And so they know it's gonna come. It happens every 30 years or so. So they're coming up on it. And so they're expecting it to happen in the springtime. So they think that they've got about a year to prepare. And so that's kind of in the background going on. Meanwhile, on the ground, there are different animals who come into these camps where they're staying, and they attack the people. And so, one of the animals bleeds green blood. And so that really catches the eyes of Odessa. And so she's always full of questions, always asking questions. So she starts to ask the Guardian different questions, and, over time, he slowly shares information with her on and off. And so then, anyway, long story short, at one point, Odessa is taken to Elder, which is like the main housing area for the princess and the prince. So she's taken there, and then on and off again, the Guardian and Xavier don't tell her a lot of information, but they keep going on these different hunting trips. And so she kind of finds out through questions, through being a rebel herself, and like trying to find books and all this. She starts to kind of figure out the different reasons on why they're going out. And so she talks to different people in the Elder community and all that, and they share different pieces of information, but all the while the ruler, the king of Tura, is burning the books. He's not giving out information. He's very secretive. And so, anyway, to make a long story short, it turns out that when she signed the treaty to marry Xavier with a blood oath, it wasn't actually for Xavier. It was for the Guardian. And so then she feels that she's been lied to, she's been betrayed because they didn't tell her. They made it seem like it was for Xavier. But then as the story progresses, the Guardian, whose name is Ransom, he gets a cut, and when he bleeds, it's the same color as the werewolf that she saw one night in the camps, and it's a green color. It's a dark green color. And so it matches up with the Guardian, Ransom. And so she instantly picks up on that, and she asks him, and so she's like, hey, like, why do you have this green colored blood, blah, blah, blah. And then it kind of made him, it forced him to tell her that he had this infection called Lissa or Lysa. I'm not sure how you pronounce it, but basically it's something that was produced in a lab, and there's no cure for it. So he will end up dying eventually. And so, as her feelings progress, she's not wanting to take that as an answer, and he's already accepted it and come to terms with it, and she's just adamant that they're going to find a cure for it. And so then, along the way, she meets this little girl who is presented as Xavier's daughter, and that's the prince who she married, even though it was actually Ransom. But people didn't know that. And so she fell in love. She became, friends and watched over her and always protected her when Xavier and the Guardian were not there on their hunting and when they went on their hunting trips. There was a woman named Luella, and she always watched over Evie. That's the girl, the young girl. So as time goes on, she becomes closer and closer, Odessa does, with Luella, Evie, another woman named, she becomes getting closer to Catherine, and Catherine is really, really good friends with Luella. Well, it comes out, back up. Over time, throughout the story, Ransom reveals his name, that his name is not the Guardian, it's Ransom. And then, over time, he reveals that, and Odessa kind of puts together that Xavier is not actually the prince. that's not who she married. And we find out that Ransom, the guardian, is the one who she's actually married to. And so she's super confused, super hurt because no one told her, but she's also kind of happy because she has these feelings for him and she's attracted to him. And so then, those feelings continue and grow and they do things, and then that makes him feel more comfortable almost to tell her more about what's actually going on. And so she finds out that Ransom is actually the son of the king. And he is the one who is married to Odessa, Ransom. But because he had this infection, Lysa, then Xavier, who they were pretending to be her husband, is the one who's going to end up filling in for him once Ransom dies. And so they haven't told anyone in the community about this infection, so everyone just thinks that Xavier is the prince, he's married to Odessa, and he's going to take over the country once the king passes away. But that's not the case at all, and we find that out. And it's a really, really big thing. And so, anyway, throughout the second half of the book, Odessa is just very, very determined to try and find a cure. But something happened, and we find out that Ransom's mom had an affair many, many years ago. And in that affair, she got Evie. So Evie is Luella's daughter and Ransom's mom as well. And she ran away from the king many years ago. And she asked for Ransom to take her as far away as possible from the king and where he was staying in Alexia. Let me see. I don't know how to write. Alexaria, I think, sorry. But that's where the king is. So she wanted to be as far away from him as possible. And so, anyway, it comes to find out that she was the one who created this infection. She created Lysa. And Ransom has it. And he finds out that she's the reason why he has it. And he gets very upset. And so they have this big, eruption. A lot of family drama. Like, do you want to talk about family drama? Woo! This book has it. So they have family drama. Well, in that moment, if you will, there is a crux that shows up. And the crux is the telltale sign that the migration is here. And so that happened basically towards the end of the book. The migration is there. The animal, which is basically, I envision it as like the modern day crow, but like probably 20 times the size. They show up and they just start to, do very bad things to people. And they, unalive them and all of that. And so, anyway, it's very sad. And basically, Ransom tells Odessa, who has Evie, to go find shelter in the underground dungeon tunnel. And he is going to go fight these monsters that are attacking for the migration. And so Odessa takes Evie. She starts running. Well, she comes into contact with Banner. And Banner is from Quintus, her old country. And meanwhile, he had been married to one of her lady maids, Brielle. And so that's like a betrayal in and of itself, because Brielle never told Odessa that they had a thing going on and all that. And I think she was set to marry Banner in Quintus or something. I I need to go back and refresh my mind, but Banner was in the beginning of the book. I just can't remember how. Sorry. But anyway, I hope you're still with me. But anyway, it ends with Odessa being in a fight with Banner, Banner wanting to kill him for revenge, Banner wanting to kill her for revenge against the Guardian, Ransom, her husband, and Banner ends up stabbing. Wait, that's probably too graphic. Banner ends up harming Xavier, which, by the way, Xavier ends up being Ransom's cousin. And the reason why Xavier was even in the picture is that he's gonna fill in for Ransom once Ransom passes away with this infection. And the whole community does not know that Ransom had this infection. And so Odessa is supposed to be married to Xavier, but she's actually married to Ransom, but they have to keep that under wraps. No one can know. And so, except like their inner circle. And so that's why, according to everyone else, Odessa is married to Xavier. And he's the prince, blah, blah, blah. Because when Ransom does die, Xavier will step in and take that role. So, anyway, Banner and Banner and Odessa are in a fight. She's sorting him, all this stuff. All of a sudden, Xavier comes up to help Odessa. Banner throws a weapon and really harms Xavier to the point where he does not make it anymore. Well, Banner also does not make it because Odessa did some very bad things to him as well. Well, poor Evie saw it all, and, she's going through a lot of trouble because she saw it, she's a young girl, blah, blah, blah. And, anyway, so the story ends with the crooks almost hurting Odessa and Evie and doing bad things to them. Ransom comes out of nowhere and saves them, and then tells Odessa to go back to Quintus, which is where she's originally from, and that she's not safe there, and that she needs to go back home and take Evie if that's what it means to keep her safe. And so as he's telling her this, they go running, and the crooks actually picked up Ransom. And so as a reader, you're left thinking, like, this is it. Ransom is going to not make it. And you're very anxious if you're me. And so you're reading it. Well, and then back forward to the very, very end, the last chapter. And it's Ransom chapter. And he made it. He got knocked out, and that's why it made it seem like he wasn't going to make it. But he got knocked out. He woke up, and he realized that he was alive, and the truth was gone. And so he saw his mother had been attacked. She didn't make it. But he was talking to Kathleen at the end, and she said, like, what are you going to do to fight these monsters? And he said, I'm going to go find my wife. And that's how it ends. So, that was a whole long explanation, but this was a very, very, very good book. It was enemies to lovers. It was a slow burn. You could feel the tension throughout the book of Odessa and the Guardian. And then when they finally did come together, it was like, finally! But it was a very, very, very good book. Let me see what it says here, because I'm not always the best with, like, remembering everything, but I think I gave a pretty good overview of it. But yeah, it was a romantasy, enemies to lovers, arranged marriage, slow burn romance, adventure, everything I love in a book when it comes to fantasy. So this was such a good book. I cannot wait, like I said, for book 2. I just want to see this story continue. I just want to find out like where they end up, if Ransom ends up being saved by this infection, if they're able to find a cure, if they're able to find the people who started it, and if they're able to stop it so that future people don't get infected with this horrible infection. So I'm Team Odessa and Ransom, and I will say this though, this is still my second like fantasy book that I've read. I read Fourth Wing like years ago, and that was a phenomenal book. I mean, that was just that was good. So this is second place, but I am a fan of it. I am Team Odessa and Ransom. So I cannot wait to see where the story goes, how the author continues on the story with Ransom and Odessa. Is it gonna stay Ransom and Odessa? I feel like it would have to, because Xavier didn't make it, and he was the one who was supposed to take Ransom's place when Ransom passed on. So I feel like that might be like some foreshadowing that like they are gonna end up finding a cure, but I don't know. I mean, I have no words. So it was a very, very good book. I really enjoyed the author's writing style. This was the book. I cannot talk. This was the first book that I read from her, and I enjoyed it. There were some parts where I kind of lost interest, I would say. Not lost interest, but it felt like it kind of went on a little long, and the writing got kind of twisty and turny, if you will. I kind of lost where the story was going from time to time, but not anyway in a sense that it made me want to stop reading it, DNF it, nothing like that. I think it just took a little bit of time to kind of build it up, like I said, and then once it got like to that climatic point, it was like done. So it was such a good read. I would highly recommend. If you like fantasy and romance, I think you would really enjoy this. The spice in this book was not horrible. It was good, like it was there. It was good, but it wasn't over the top to where you were like, oh my gosh, like this is a lot. So I appreciate that as well, because you don't always want to like read like all that, like that's for other books. So I really enjoyed the balance between like the fantasy part and the romance part. It was such a good book. So I highly recommend this book. I would give this probably like a 4.3 stars, I would say. I think 4.3 out of 5 is very fair. Oh, excuse me. It's very fair. And I want to know what your thoughts are. Did you read this book? Have you read it? What are your thoughts on it? Did you enjoy it? Do you like her writing style? Do you think the second book is going to continue in the same direction? Or do you think something brand new is going to come of it? Let me know all your thoughts down below. But yeah, thank you so much for joining me in this video. I hope you enjoyed this book review. I hope that you were able to take something from it, and maybe you want to read it now after my review. But yeah, so thank you so much for joining me for this video. I hope you enjoyed this reading content, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!